familiarity to him as he comes up on a major intersection here. He is going to be turning now north, and we'll try and get a street for you here. It looks like it's going to be Avalon Boulevard. So yeah, he has traveled this particular area before while we have been kind of tracking him. We do still have at least 3, maybe 4 officers of the LAPD still in pursuit of this guy. However, they have kind of dropped back about half a block, maybe a block, and they're letting this guy travel northbound again on Avalon, and he's coming up again on 109th. He's just past 109th where we just saw him kind of make a circle around the neighborhood there. So he is now making a right turn, so now heading eastbound, and we'll try and get a street for him. Eastbound from Avalon is where he is going. It's going to be 111th Street from what we understand, and it looks like he's trying to make efforts to cross over into the wrong lanes of traffic to overtake a slower vehicle at this point. And PD, I've got you there. I'm going to climb up a little bit higher. Again, traveling eastbound at a very high rate of speed, without any regard, literally, to any of the other folks on the road, be them commuters or folks, pedestrians who may be traveling on the streets here. But just a very tough situation here, where he is just basically doing everything he can, endangering a lot of folks as he makes his way through the streets of Watts at this point. So he is going to be coming eastbound, making an effort to go towards the next main street, which I believe is going to be Central Avenue. So he has been in this particular area before as well. So Central Avenue, we'll see, he'll have to make either a left or right turn at this point. He'll be coming up on a dead end or a building at this point, where he will be turning southbound on Central from 111th, and overtaking some slower cars. At least 3, 4, 5 units of the LAPD are in relatively close proximity to him as he kind of makes his way down towards the 105 freeway. So yes, he is essentially making sort of large circles around the Watts area here, perhaps an area of familiarity. Perhaps he knows the area, and so that's why he's kind of sticking in the area here. So at least 2 layers of LAPD airship above, and several units on the ground. They are following this guy as he travels southbound, and he is just a couple of blocks away from Imperial Highway, where he is going to be coming up on stop traffic. And we will see if he continues southbound or perhaps makes a left or right turn on Imperial Highway. It looks like he is going to be making a left, and so he is kind of following the same pattern here, where he is traveling in wide circles around the neighborhood, generally in the Watts vicinity here. And so it looks like this may be an area of, again, a familiarity. So we will kind of keep an eye on this. Guys, I'm going to talk to the police helicopter for just a moment.
Again, this is a stolen Toyota Camry, at least that's what we have been told. This basically is, Mark has just said, and you said, this guy is just basically driving in circles around the Watts area, which his 2, people that were with him, they jumped out of the car. He may at this point probably, this is not going to work out, so he's probably trying to get enough distance between himself and the police officers in pursuit so he could probably ditch the car and take off running himself.
Yeah, and what's frustrating, just as a viewer, but also someone who could also be walking on the street when something's going on like this, is that he has no regard. Like, he's on the opposite side of the street, driving in the opposite direction when a car could hit him head on that has children inside the car. And one thing I noticed while Mark was talking, you noticed the black tire there. I thought maybe there was a spare, like one of the smaller tires on there, but it looks like he's just hit so many things, he's lost his rim.
No, he lost hubcaps on both of the front tires.
Yeah, well, maybe, hopefully one of the tires, maybe, it could be damaged at some point, and help to slow him down. But if you're just joining us, this is a police pursuit that we've been on for about 15 minutes now. Okay, now you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, at about 8 minutes into this chase, he ditched 2 people while the car was moving. 2 suspects jumped out of that car. We're assuming now that there's only 1 person still driving in this car, maybe 2. Police are telling us this is possibly a stolen vehicle, a Toyota Camry, driving at high rates of speeds, going through intersections, stop signs, and as I just mentioned, which just annoys me anytime this is happening, is when they're driving on the opposite side of the lane.
Well, he's, he just continues to drive in circles. Let's go back up to Marcona. How many units are chasing this guy now?
Well, at least half a dozen here, Glenn, and they're about a half a block again to a block behind him, and he is now northbound on Central. You see him kind of working his way around South LA, working his way around Watts. He's circled at Nickerson Gardens a couple of times, and now he's again back northbound on Central. And this is a little bit farther north than we've seen him go, and so we may actually see him make a turn here eventually, and it looks like he is going to make a right turn off to the east again. And so again, we're going to be traveling in a big circle here. From what I can see, there's only 3 units that are close closely monitoring him, and of course there are a couple of LAPD airships above as well, and so they are kind of keeping an eye on him as he makes his way through the area here. He is traveling, again, as you guys have been mentioning, at a very high rate of speed. He's disregarding. TV5, copy, we'll be looking. Just a complete disregard for any of the other motorists or commuters on the road here, as you see him kind of weaving in and out, diving in and out of lanes, going into opposing lanes of traffic. He will do literally anything he needs to basically evade capture at this point. He's again made a southbound turn on another major street. We'll try and get that for you here. It's basically parallel to Alameda at this point, but he is now making an eastbound turn. It was from Compton, and so we're coming into an area where there are a couple of schools here, so he is just kind of zipping through the middle of them, and this is going to be 104, and he's going to be forced to make a right turn southbound. So there we go, right turn southbound again. And he is going to be on Grandy, from what we understand. Just on the east side of a couple of schools here as he approaches, again, the Watts area here.
Mark Kono, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but in a situation like this, since he is circling a familiar area and he seems to be circling the same area in a way, is there any way that they could put down the spike strips to possibly, stop him at some point?
Well, sure. If they establish a pattern of direction that this guy seems to be frequenting, then they might be able to do that. For example, he's been on 109th a couple of times. He's been on Imperial Highway a couple of times. He's been on Central. He's been on Avalon, traveling north and southbound. So, yeah, if they are able to establish some sort of a pattern in his driving and they're able to get ahead of him and kind of see which way he is going, I mean, yeah, they might conceivably lay down some spike strips and get ahead of him and lay those down and begin the process of disabling the car. So far, we have not seen that, but you would assume that at this point, given the fact that this pursuit has not left the general vicinity, that they might be setting up to do just that. So we will try and get some sort of confirmation to see if that in fact does happen. But I will send it back to you for just a moment. So I'm calling 5.
Okay, Mark Kono up in Sky 5 continues to follow this Toyota Camry, which we're told was stolen. And as we've been watching, he's basically just driving various streets in Watts, area of South Los Angeles, in the Nickerson Garden area, and it looks like he's probably just looking for some point where he believes he could ditch the car and take off running from police at this point.
Or not, or he's just going to drive around until he
runs out of gas.
He runs out of gas or gets in trouble. You often wonder what these guys are thinking, if they're trying to, evade them, or if they're just kind of messing with them a little bit. But the problem is here too, it's interesting because he's not getting on the freeway, so he's not comfortable getting on, because he's right by the Imperial Highway, right, where he could get on.
He's been near the 105 and Imperial Highway, but which is basically a surface street.
And he's staying in that neighborhood.
Yeah, he's there's a couple of streets that like Broadway, where he can get a long straightaway, but he's basically staying in that same general area, and as Mark Kono told us, the black and white units are staying about a block behind him. But I would imagine at some point, I still think he's going to ditch this car eventually. He's going to turn. He's going to think he's going to be free, and he's going to drop this car off and take off running somewhere.
And so it's 2 o'clock now. Some schools get out, more like 3 o'clock, but Mark has mentioned that he has passed several schools. School is in session today. So if it happens to be an elementary school that lets out early, that's where this can become even more dangerous, with kids crossing the street, school buses, parents out and about, a little bit more traffic. We have yet to see that. This pursuit started about 17 minutes ago. We continue to follow the Toyota Camry that we're being told is a stolen vehicle. He is kind of slowing down here, almost as if he's familiar, maybe trying to make a decision as to what he's doing. We sometimes see the drivers communicate with someone that they're familiar with, or a home where they live. So he may be driving by to say, hey, can I park in the garage, or can I exit here? Now he's coming to a stop. This is where it can get super dangerous for the police officers. Okay,
it looks like he just threw it in park, or maybe reverse. You can see the black and white unit is approaching very cautiously. Officers now getting out of the vehicle with their guns drawn. So I think we're probably going to see a conclusion of this, hopefully in the next couple of minutes. And now he's getting out of the car. Let's go back.
Mark Kono, can you hear us?
I sure can, Lou and Glenn. Now, you're seeing it here. It looks like the suspect kind of giving up, coming out, arms open, obeying the instructions of officers here at this point. It looks like he's on 115th or 116th, and that's just on the west side of Stanford, where this guy is basically choosing to give up at this point. Certainly a good thing for him, certainly a good thing for everyone involved here, but it looks like he is being ordered to lay down prone, and that is when the officers will be able to take this guy into custody here. But they want to make sure that he has no weapons, he has nothing like that. They'll also want to make efforts to clear the vehicle too, because as you saw from our coverage before, there were a couple of people who were jumping out of the car even while the car was moving. And so you see one team is going to approach the car, and they're going to leave the suspect prone in the street here. What they are doing is they are basically clearing the car, making sure there is no other suspect who might be in the car waiting to do something here.
All right, this one has come to a conclusion like most of them do, with the suspect laying spread-eagled and face down on the asphalt.
Yeah, a safe conclusion. All right, Mark Kono, thank you so much. And thank you, too, for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back at 3. We're going to send it now to the programming that's on our air right now, Maury, and we'll be back.